I'm nervous. Why am I nervous?
I just want to start with this little moment. I don't think you guys have seen this before, and I just thought I would share it with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Meghan, so much. And looking forward to watching the self-esteem workshop right now. Yes.
Do you remember this?
No.
Number one song to pick you up.
Oh my gosh, I was just listening to it before I left.
It's a Nina Simone song, and it's called like "How It Feels to Be Free."
Oh,
it's
I don't
so
know
good.
Okay, I'll look that up for sure.
Fiercest female character on TV.
Who do I say? Olivia Pope?
Olivia Pope.
Prince William or Prince Harry?
Harry. Harry? Sure.
Sure.
Sure. What year was that?
October 2015.
October 2015?
Less than a year.
Before we met? Funny, I'm sorry.
seen-
I of course choose you.
Okay. Wait. This just, again, shows how little you knew. They look like how far we've come.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Not a lot on this one. I'm just going to hit a couple of notes. It's interesting for me. We're going to see a baseline for what she does when she's talking to someone. She does that compression of the muscles here that we usually associate with the knit brow when she's just normally talking. There's no reason for her to have that when she's talking to this person who's interviewing her. There's one place where he does this kind of tilt and look under his brow almost in disbelief. Hey, that was less than a year before we met. I'm not going to go much further than that. I'm just going to say, look, whether he knows that she was interested in him at that point or not, who knows? I just think that he's amused. He actually shows some real joy in his face, some real happiness in his face. And then she's actually showing some concern a little bit before the video plays. And then she does that data intake face. We'll see that again later when she's talking normally to people versus when she's projecting something. Scott, what do you got?
All right. Well, before the action starts, she's kind of looks like Harry does. She's sitting there kind of a little bit nervous, but as soon as they say, oh, take a look at this, that head comes forward and she comes out some. That's the face she makes where it's supposed to be the Meghan on film or video face or taking pictures of her. That's the face she has. That's the one she's practiced. That's her show face, in other words. He is a little bit nervous at the top. But this starts to bother me the further we go because we're seeing, again, a blend of three expressions at this point. We're seeing this fake surprise on her face. Then we see this concern, but it's all being masking a smile or a happy face. So we're seeing all three of these expressions fighting each other. And the very back one is the smile that I think she's trying to hide because she loves nothing more than looking at herself, I believe. And this is the ultimate for her. It's her being videoed, watching herself on video. It's the narcissist's dream. I mean, she's peaked right there. There we are. She has it at the beginning of the show. And then we're seeing these little micro expressions of her. When she's trying not to smile, if you get close, you'll see it almost flutter there on the sides as she's trying to hold that down. Harry is actually really inquisitive about what's going to happen. I don't think he's seen this before because he looks like he's wondering what happened. He has that concern, like, what are we talking about? Is this a trap? What's happening? Is this real? So he looks pretty good as it goes along. He's really focused, and I think he's not worried, but he's concerned about what's on there. And then when it starts, he looks all proud of her. And we see a real smile there. I think it's a true Duchenne smile. We start smiling at her. And she looks back at him, and she does hers too, her Meghan smile. And as she looks at it, she says she's not sure if she remembers it or not. And you know what? At first I thought, oh, come on, you've got to remember you're on TV or whatever. But how many times have us four been on TV or an interview and you really don't remember what was said? I was on one the other day with Robin Dreek. We talked about those people, that horrible thing where those children, those girls and guy got killed in Idaho. And I don't remember really what all we were talking about. You know, he probably doesn't either. I know we talked afterwards, but that's all I remember. So I believe her on that point. I believe she may not remember what she said on this. So I think this might be really surprised. I didn't wink. It just looked like a wink right there. I'm not a winker. So then, let me see. I've lost my place in here. I'm back to notes. this again reinforces his narrative, because he says, when she says, the girl asked her, well, would you pick Harry or what's the other one's name?
William.
Would you pick Harry or William? She says, Harry. That reinforces his narrative, or their narrative, as she didn't know who he was before then. And she might not have really paid attention to that at that point, because she says she never Googled him or anything. But I'll bet you she did. Once she found out that he was interested in her, that's when the Googling started. You can rest assured, because they said, check it out, man. This Prince wants to talk to you. She's like, Prince, which one? Who is it? Which one? Okay, I know who they are. And she Googled him, and she says she didn't. So, but that backs up their narrative, him saying, see, I know you didn't know me before then. You're into me, not who you thought I was. You're into me. Then we're seeing some true emotions and real expressions from him, again, with his Duchenne smile. You hear us talk about the Duchenne smile. What that is this. Back in the late 1800s, there was a guy named Duchenne de Bologna. How do you say his name correctly, Mark? You say it better than I do.
Duchenne of Bologna.
Well, okay. I'll just call him Duchenne de Bologna.
I don't know whether he was actually from Bologna, though, because I think he was from not there, essentially. It's like the French or Swiss German or something like that, but not.
All right. Well, he was the first guy to really start doing deep dives into facial expressions and if they were real or if they were fake. And what he found, and if you look, he's got pictures, no video. He's got pictures of him with these little sticks with electrodes on them, and he shocks this guy in the face, and those muscles contract and they make these different expressions. And what he found was a real smile and the fake smile are different. And you know it by this. A lot of people say, oh, you can tell by the wrinkles on the side of their eyes that's a real smile. Nope. It's got to be the right kind of wrinkle. It can't just be the wrinkle. You and I can squint. Anybody on here can squint and smile at the same time. And you say, oh, that's a Duchenne smile. No, it isn't. Because a real smile, the brain makes sure those squints come down at an angle like that on the inside like that. When we squint, it just comes up like that and goes flat. So you have to know what to look for. You have to get good at doing it. It's not as easy as these people say it is. When they say, oh, you can always tell by this. You got to pay attention and know what you're looking for. You're looking for that thing to come in at an angle like that. That's the key there. Also, I'll put a link below to that so you can find out who Duchenne de Bologna is, or Bologna, however you say his name correctly. And so you'll be able to learn more about that. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so I think this is a scene that's about the idea of surprise, and I agree. I think there is some real surprise in there. But here's the big thing here is when you control your media, even the traps are set in your favor. And that's what's happened here is a trap has been set, but the producer here has set a wonderful trap that they know is most likely going to play out really well to their advantage. So I think Meghan is a little bit like, okay, I don't remember this. What happened here? We see that because after she gets the first one right, her hands go down and she stabilizes herself. She now controls that. She releases on that. So, and he says, yes, of course, that shows how little, and with some very strong tease on there, which is very kind of West London Harrow, how little you knew. It plays absolutely to the advantage of the narrative, which is that narrative, Scott, that you were saying of she knew nothing about him or the royal family, and she didn't even Google him. Well, we do find out in this particular documentary that, yes, maybe she didn't Google him, but she went straight on his Instagram and looked at his Instagram. So there is in that original interview, she said, I didn't Google him, but she didn't go, I didn't Google him, but I did immediately look at his Instagram feed because we had mutual friends. I was able to get access to that private feed and go through his photographs and work out, is this somebody I could align with? So, if the question had been, but did you search through his social media? She'd have had to have said, yeah, absolutely, I did. She did better than perhaps Google him. She searched his private, she had access to his private social media. Anyway, look, straight into this example here of how in control of this they are. Very different from Oprah, which is meant to be quite a friendly interview, and yet it kind of went a little bit out of control for them. traps opened up for them. Not necessarily that Oprah set those traps, but the traps weren't really organized. Here, even the traps are organized. Brilliant, brilliant spin. Chase, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I agree with you guys on there's a couple genuine smiles in there. There are many fake ones, though. Very many fake ones. And I think she is hesitant to touch his face at one point in this. And I think this is weird. It's maybe likely due to a lack of a smile or enjoyment about the comment, but she is reaching up to maybe touch his face and then drops her hand down onto her leg. He continues this lack of humor to illustrate what he took from a clip meant to be funny, and like he took the humor out of it. And there was some digital flexion. The moment that she was talking about choosing him instead of William, you could see his hand tighten up. It's dangling right between his legs. You can see his hand tighten up. This is classic digital flexion. It's a perfect, quintessential example of it. And right when he says, or right when he does this little digital flexion maneuver, this is when he says, "This shows how little you knew." He removes his arm from her at this precise moment. And this is one signal, not a cluster. So what we're seeing here is just little small micro signals here, when what we're traditionally looking for are a little mountain or a little hill of behaviors, multiple behaviors. I'm sure the internet will be full of people who are absolutely certain they know what this means. I'm not. The behavior in this clip almost conveys a desire to stay away from anything enjoyable and to avoid any discussion of things that are good in their life or even what they're thankful for, which I think might be what the viewers are wanting them to discuss once and for all. I think people are waiting to hear, like, yeah, this is pretty good. I'm thankful for some of this stuff. That's all I got.
I think she didn't touch him because of the makeup.
I
saw that too. Oh,
he didn't have a bunch, but her hand would have contacted mostly facial hair.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Should we do some intros or on the next one?
Yeah,
let's do them now.
Nephew.
Okay, yeah, let's do it right now. If you don't know who we are, we're the Behavior Panel. I'm Scott Rouse. I'm a body language expert and analyst, and I train law enforcement and the military in interrogation and body language. And I created the #1 online body language course, Body Language Tactics, with Greg Hartley. Mark?
I'm Mark Bowden. I'm an expert in human behavior and body language, help people all over the world to stand out, win trust, gain credibility every time they communicate, including some of the leaders of the G7. Chase.
Hey, I'm Chase Hughes, did 20 years in the U.S. military, wrote the #1 best-selling book on behavior profiling, influence, and persuasion. You can type my name into your app store to get training right now. Greg?
Greg Hartley. I'm a former Army interrogator, interrogation instructor, resistance to interrogation instructor. I've written 10 books on body language and behavior, and I spend most of my time on Wall Street corporate America. Oh, and finished, we put together, Scott and I, the bodylanguagetactics.com course, which has become a #1.
Excellent. Oh, you beat you, Mark. Sorry, dude.
I'm nervous. Why am I nervous?
I just want to start with this little moment. I don't think you guys have seen this before, and I just thought I would share it with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Megan, so much. And
Looking forward to watching the self-esteem workshop right now? Yes.
Do you remember?
No.
#1 song to pick you up.
Oh my gosh, I was just listening to it before I left, believe it.
It's a Nina Simone song, and it's called How It Feels to Be Free. Oh, it's
I don't
so
know
good.
it.
Okay, I'll look that up for sure.
Fiercest female character on TV.
Who do I say? Olivia Pope?
Olivia Pope.
Prince William or Prince Harry? I don't know. Harry. Harry? Sure.
Sure. What year was that?
October 2015.
October 2015?
Less than a year.
Before we met? Funny, I'm sorry. I, of course, choose you.
Okay. Wait. This just, again, shows how little you knew. They look like how far we've come.
If you like this video, Get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.